And I will say this to the beginner gardeners out there, if seed starting feels overwhelming to you, then go to a nursery and buy some plants. That is okay. You don't have to start your own seeds, but just put something in the ground. It's better than nothing. Spring is quickly approaching, and if you're like me, you are in the throes of garden planning right now, but maybe it's a little overwhelming and you're not sure where to start. Well, I want to help you succeed in starting a garden. So I'm gonna give you my top 5 things that I like to grow in my garden that I have been growing from the very beginning and that will provide food for your family. First on the list is bush beans, pole beans. They are a green bean. So I have a packet of pole beans here, and green beans produce really well in the garden. They're not picky about soil. They actually fix soil. So I love to plant them all over the place. But this year, my plan is to plant them on this trellis here, walking into the garden, because with pole beans, the beans will hang down and it'll just be this really cool entrance into the garden. But you can fit a lot of beans into a bed. So what I'll do here with this bed, I have 2 raised beds on either side. And my garlic is in there now, but I made sure to leave a spot where I can put green beans, and I will plant 1 bean on every prong of this trellis, and it'll completely fill out this trellis on either side, meeting at the middle. So I will really maximize this space with a lot of food. This is a great option if you are a backyard gardener and you don't have a lot of space. Put up a trellis in a bed or on the ground, plant some pole beans, and you will be really happy with the harvest. Next up is bell peppers. So we grow a ton of peppers in our family. 32 pepper plants is what we grow for our family of 4 every year. But I like to put peppers in a focal point because peppers will produce all season long, all the way up till that first frost in the fall. So not only are they giving you a lot of food, but they're also really pretty. So I like to put them in a focal point in the garden. So I'm gonna line them up this year on either side of this walkway here. So when you walk in, you have a snack, but it's also pretty. You know, you wanna meet all those senses. When you grow peppers, it feels like you're growing money trees because you go to the store and you will buy a pack of 3 peppers for what, $4 or $5. Well, you can buy a whole entire seed packet for maybe $3 or $4. And this 1 seed packet will give you maybe 10 to 15 plants. 1 pepper plant will grow you a lot of peppers. So peppers are not only delicious out of the garden, there is nothing like a fresh garden pepper. The taste is not even comparable to a store-bought one. And it's also really cost-effective to grow peppers. So if you're a first-time gardener and you're wanting to help your grocery budget, grow some peppers. Quick announcement, we are really excited. We just launched some new merch. We have our Faithful Farmstead sweatshirt, which is my personal favorite. And then we have a Free Range Life t-shirt. There's also a couple other designs on our website. We also have some new hats, Reclaim Your Roots. This is our YouTube tagline, and I'm sure some of you are also reclaiming your roots. And then the Free Range Life, because that is what the homesteading life is all about. A lot of people ask how they can support us as a family, and by purchasing merch, that is supporting us. We have a lot of other options on our website. Check out the link in the description below. Next up are tomatoes and basil. Okay, I don't think that you can grow one without the other because basil really does complement tomatoes. And tomatoes are one of those things that are so versatile. So maybe you don't like to eat fresh tomatoes, but you love pasta sauce or you love diced tomatoes in soups. So tomatoes can go really far in your grocery budget when it comes to doing different things with them. We always grow a San Marzano. It's a super easy tomato to grow. It likes the heat, especially if you're in the south. And then along my tomato row that will be on a trellis because tomatoes grow really tall, I will plant basil underneath. And the basil, I feel like it actually sweetens the tomatoes. Maybe it's just me, but I grow a hedge of basil underneath my tomato plants. So you're really growing 2 crops in one space, which I'm always looking to maximize my space. This is something you could easily do in a raised bed. Get a trellis, put a couple tomato plants. You don't have to grow them from seed. And I will say this to the beginner gardeners out there, If seed starting feels overwhelming to you, then go to a nursery and buy some plants. That is okay. You don't have to use this seed company. You don't have to start your own seeds. You can maybe support a friend that does, or a local nursery, but just put something in the ground. It's better than nothing. Next up is lettuce. And the reason that I love to grow lettuce is because it is one of the first crops I put into my garden, and then one of the last crops I put into my garden for the end of the year. So here in a couple weeks, I think I have it on my calendar for like 3 weeks, I'm gonna take some lettuce seeds and I'm gonna start some inside, but I'm also gonna direct sow some into the ground. Lettuce is frost tolerant, meaning it can handle a frost. It is actually sweeter and more crisp when you grow it in cooler temperatures, and it's so easy to grow. So don't be intimidated by growing leafy greens like this. A packet like this costs $2, $3, and there are so many seeds in one lettuce packet. Also with lettuce, what you can do is once it grows big, you cut it and it grows again. And I actually have one that's still sprouting from the winter, but you just keep cutting it and it grows again. So it gives you a big bang for your buck when you're growing lettuce. Really does help the grocery budget. We don't use a lot of raised beds, but we have absolutely loved this metal bed here. We built it last summer and it's held up really well. If you want to see how we built that and what we filled it with, make sure to go check out that video. Next up are cucumbers. We grow a lot of cucumbers every year because a cucumber from the garden is so juicy, it's so crunchy, it is so full of flavor. My husband did not even like cucumbers until we started growing them in the garden. So that just shows you the difference between garden grown and store-bought. But with cucumbers, again, this is one of those plants that is not super finicky, grows really, really well. They love to climb up things, so I will put them on these 2 round trellises this year, and I will put a seed every prong. So like every seed, one seed will go every prong. So you can see that you can plant a lot of cucumbers on one trellis, and that will provide a lot of cucumbers. So very cost efficient, really easy to grow. You can even grow cucumbers in a pot. Say you don't have a backyard or you don't have raised beds, but you're wanting to grow something this year. Get a big old pot, fill it with some good potting soil, put 1 or 2 cucumber seeds in that pot with like a trellis, like a round trellis, and you'll have cucumbers on your back patio. So grow cucumbers this year. Last thing on my list is to grow flowers. There is just something about having flowers in the garden that brings so much joy, not only for you, but also the pollinators. And you will have a better garden if you have pollinators in your garden. So my tried and true over the last 10 years that I've been gardening has been zinnias. They are my absolute favorite. And last year I planted them along the fence line here. Maybe we have some B-roll. And it was just so lush. It created a beautiful hedge. I planted them really close together. So with zinnias, they're so easy to grow from seed. I push back the soil a little bit, throw them on top and tuck them in, and they grow beautifully. They're drought tolerant, and the more you cut them, the more they grow. There's so many different varieties and colors, and so zinnias will always forever be a part of the Miller garden. If you're planting your first garden this spring, I really do believe that these plants will set you up for success. So I hope you try them, and I hope you grow a beautiful garden this spring. When we bought this 60-year-old farm property, it was a hot mess, including this garden. I mean, it was overgrown. You couldn't even see the fence. We have a whole video playlist showing how we reclaimed that space and how we built up the soil and all the things we did. Be sure to check it out. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next one.